Hey there. We are the team from ACF, and this is ACF Chat Fridays. Thanks for coming out. Looks like we've got about two or three people here. Um, we don't have a lot to do today other than to just chat and answer questions and things. So if you guys have questions that you want to ask us, Matt Shaw is here from Team ACF, myself, and also Mike Davey here. So yeah, if you guys have questions, feel free to ask away. Otherwise, we're just going to be hanging out for a little bit here. And if there's not a lot of questions, we might just wrap it up early, or we'll take as long as we need. So yeah, feel free to ask away.
So guess it might be worth talking real quick about what's gone on since the last Chat Fridays. We have released ACF 6.4.1 as well as 6.4.2. Pretty small bug fix releases. A couple new features in there though. So select fields, one of those in 6.4.1, we added the ability to add custom options on the front end when editing a select field. So say you already have a select field configured, your editors can now add new options to that field, which is pretty helpful. And we also added support for WooCommerce subscriptions using HBOS. So we added that previously in 6.4 for standard WooCommerce orders, but now we've added it for the WooCommerce subscriptions add-on as well. And then coming up next, we have a slew of improvements for the flexible content field on the way. And then if you've been watching our previous Chat Fridays and maybe going to the WP Engine Decode event, you might have seen we have a lot of improvements for ACF blocks, including inline editing and different ways to edit blocks in the new Gutenberg editor. Looks like we have a couple questions in chat. Since you've already done the work of making ACF compatible with HPOS, why not take the extra step and provide us with native support for custom database tables like MetaBox does? It's a great question. That is on our roadmap. We don't have an ETA just yet, but we have done some preliminary investigative work to look into how we can support that in ACF. And a lot of the work that went into adding support for HPOS was done with custom database tables in mind. We did a lot of refactoring to move a lot of legacy code around in a way that is still backwards compatible, but we can eventually add support for custom database tables and a variety of different data storage formats and try and make things a bit more extensible. So it's definitely on our mind. We just unfortunately don't have an ETA on that just yet.
Although I think if you have ideas or feedback for ways that you would like that to work, like what specifically you want from that, it helps us. It helps inform our decision making going forward to make sure that we're supporting what our people want. So anything else you can provide, information wise about what you would want from a custom database table implementation would be great as well. And Mike posted the feedback form there as well, which is great. Or we can chat about it here too. And then Jesse Backer says, I'm having a problem with meta fields on post level. I would like them to change blocks on value change. Can't find anything online that would help to fix my problem. Can you tell us a bit more about what you're wanting to have happen there, Jesse? Change blocks on value change. Like change the blocks that are in the editor or values that are in those blocks that are already in the editor?
I can unmute myself.
Yeah.
Perfect. Now I'm developing a website. I develop many websites for customers with ACF and a custom team. And for a custom post type, there are fields connected to the custom post type, like show a banner or anything else. And I use that data inside a block. But when you change the data on post level, so you change display banner, hide banner, then it doesn't update the block. It
Oh, I see.
only updates when you save and refresh. And right now I made a JavaScript if save, and there is a change, refresh the page. And that's really buggy and it sucks. And but I couldn't find anything on your forums or anywhere else how to fix this.
So you've made an ACF block, but you're pulling the data from the post meta for the field value. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when you're editing the field, you're editing it in like the bottom meta box area.
Yes. And I tried it with you have like JavaScript functions, ACF JavaScript functions.
Yep.
But I couldn't figure out how to fix it. They didn't
Yeah,
fire.
I
They
think
didn't fire when I changed blocks in the bottom part.
Yep, I think I know what you're saying. I haven't tested that, but I'm sure if you're experiencing that, that's probably what's going on. And it's basically just that it's not updating the attributes of the block right away. So the React DOM isn't getting rewritten, which means you're not seeing it update without a refresh.
Exactly.
So,
and for me, that's no problem. Only for my clients, that's really confusing.
Right. No, that makes sense.
There is a hook that I believe you can use, a JavaScript hook in, I'm forgetting exactly what it is, but if you message support and just say that you're from ACF Chat Fridays, we should be able to pick that up and help you out there, because that's definitely something I've seen before and that we've kind of provided workarounds for before. So definitely happy
That
to
would be
help there.
amazing.
Yeah.
I have a forum post somewhere I could share.
Sure. Yeah, if you want to paste that in chat, you can take a look.
Yeah, I will. I first need to hack my own account. To make it more clear, I could share my screen and show you, but I think
I think I know exactly
what
what you're talking about. So
yeah,
happy to help. Just hard to think of that solution while on a Zoom call, unfortunately.
There is a way. We just have to dig it up.
Oh yeah, here. What I tried, I will share the post. What I tried is with JavaScript hook on the add action ready from ACF, and then fields on change, and then push the new value and re-render the block. Only this is a little bit above my pay grade. So it didn't fire, and after a while I was like, yeah, okay, I just have to live with it, and I built my custom JavaScript.
To refresh.
If on this page, refresh. Yeah, if on this page and block exists, then refresh.
You're pretty close here, I think. I'll have to dig into it, but I think it might just be that the attribute needs to be inside the ACF data attribute. But I'd have to, it'll be hard for me to do on Zoom, but there is a way for sure. We can get you that.
Would be amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, happy to help look into that.
That's the only question.
Sweet.
Cool.
Thank you.
No problem.
Any plans for ACF blocks support for targeting block inspector tabs? Having an option in the ACF UI to assign fields to a specific block inspector tab list setting style in the Gutenberg block editor sidebar would be really useful. It would keep things organized and align more with the native block editor user experience. we haven't looked at that yet, but I can see why you'd want that. You want to be able to apply fields to the other tabs, like ACF field, but probably a field group would be what you'd want to target to one of those tabs. Let me just put one. And how are you, is there a specific block or a way that you've made a block that puts those tabs in there? List settings and style. I guess that's if you're using a block theme, perhaps those tabs are more there. You can also use the ACF tab field to break up your fields if you want into other tabs. I know that's not probably exactly what you're looking for, but it is at least one way to organize the fields if you use the tab field.
Hello?
Hey,
Hi.
Okay, I was trying to get my mic working this whole time. Yeah, that was me asking that question. So I pretty much wanted to separate anything that's presentation related versus like content. So I'd put like all the color stuff, any kind of typography, anything like that. I'd put it into the style tab versus the settings tab that will more so handle the data stuff, just to be more in line with the way the block editor works now. But like you mentioned, with the ACF tabs, that's what I am using as a substitute. But yeah, it would be nice if, in the future we could just target those tabs natively.
I think
Yeah.
that's something would like to tackle, but would be difficult in the current version of ACF. But it is something that, like, our current roadmap will eventually enable us to do, um, because we do want to get, as close to as a native Gutenberg experience as we can. Um, but there's just some blockers in our way right now. We have to be able to make fields live kind of natively in the Gutenberg editor, and that's something we're working towards, just
Yeah.
not quite there.
Okay. Thank you.
And you're just to clarify, you're adding those tabs through block JSON
Yes. Yeah.
enablement. Yeah, got it. Yeah, no, that makes sense. That's a good question. Yeah, thanks for that. We'll put it in our roadmap, in our backlog, and we'll take a look at it for sure. We're doing a big refactor of a lot of the block stuff right now. So like Matt said, it'll enable us to hopefully get really close to Gutenberg core and let us do stuff like that. So it's great to hear how people are using it and what they, where they're running into stuff like that. So yeah, thanks for your question.
All right. Thank you.
Constantine says, my question revolves around what kind of plans, if any, there are for ACF AI MCP integrations. I'm experimenting with a flow in which tools like OpenAI's Codex and other tools can build out static sites, maybe even Gutenberg themes from designs, and also build out schema using the handy ACF post types, taxonomies, and of course fields, especially seems doable with WP GraphQL. Yeah, I mean, it's still really early days, I think, for model context protocol, but yeah, it's a pretty interesting question. If you have,
Yeah,
I saw you muted there, so yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I can add more to it. One of the things I've been experimenting with too, Codex is a lot of fun to play with, and just running it from the core of the WordPress install. the documentation centric nature of doing WPCLI commands lends itself really well. Basically, WPCLI is essentially a MCP because of how well documented it is, and because of if you use the class structure, you are basically forced to write all of that documentation, especially if you're doing adhering to PHP coding standards. And
Right.
I found that giving codex context of saying, hey, don't, write any code, reference the documentation of these WPCLI commands. It's kind of fun watching it like run the help command and be like, oh, I can do this thing. And then like it just does it. And
Yeah,
so like
interesting.
I kind of experimented with building a CLI command that'll tap into the functions y'all have to, declare post types and taxonomies directly in the database rather than in code in the theme. And obviously, fields already kind of work that way. And it was just kind of very basic, but it was again, it was really cool to see how quickly, with some context, the AI tool understood, oh, this is the way that I do it. And with WPCLI, I could almost see, uploading a design and saying, hey, build this out as a Next.js site. Gutenberg is kind of a little more complicated, obviously, but a Next.js site, and also build the schema, and then tell it, with that kind of instruction, build the schema, and then reference the GraphQL schema that's generated through that, right? Because that's easily discoverable and very predictably typed. And then the Next.js site just builds out. And I mean, I think for us, I'm with Yoko. And our clients aren't leaving the WordPress admin interface anytime soon, no matter how many AI coding tools there are out there, no matter how much we love playing with them. And so I think like WordPress, in some ways, I tell people, is basically just a dashboard. It is an admin theme. What happens on the front end can be anything, but the admin theme is something that's comfortable. And so being able to build out the data structure automatically from just design files is really attractive. And I think ACF is the best positioned tool to be able to do that. And it just needs that translation layer. Like I said, either a good MCP or just even WPCLI commands have worked really well. And that's why I asked that question. If y'all have thought about that, played around with that, if there's any plans for anything like that.
Very cool. I know Matt has talked a lot about WPCLI.
Yeah, I've been dying to get WPCLI and ACF. It's just a matter of prioritization for that specifically. It's definitely feels like something we'll get to at some point, and hopefully not, in a matter of years and years. But yeah, I mean, I can definitely see how that would be useful in terms of, kind of enabling discoverability and just making things easier in general. But yeah, we just haven't prioritized that just yet.
It is interesting to think about it in the context of like an MCP alternative, where it's something that works for everybody and it happens to also work for AI.
Yeah.
That's definitely an interesting take there.
I mean, it's definitely in the space of, I think MCPs are a little safer, right? They're better guardrails for AI. But I think there's definitely this kind of angle of the AI like support agent or something, right? That is able to react almost instantly, like, oh, there's this error that happened. Why did it happen? Oh, this is why I think it is, and suggest like remedies, if not apply immediate remedies. And from a support context, having AI agents with appropriate guardrails running on the server is scary, but also like the utility of it can be really high.
Yeah, I guess that's the tricky part. If you've given your AI agent access to running WPCLI commands, I don't think they're scoped to user permissions, right? If I'm correct. Like if you're running WPCLI, you're running it basically as a root user.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot of
Which
access.
is scary, right?
Exactly.
So Yeah.
That's why
If
MCP is more ideal.
yeah, the guardrail situation where it's like all of a sudden if your AI agent goes, oh, I think you want me to drop all tables. It's like, oops, it did.
Exactly. You're definitely relying on the agents that markdown file, I think is what they called it now, that telling you what it can and it can't do, and it seems to
Yeah.
honor it. I mean, at the end of the day, the nice thing about like Codex is because it kind of runs locally, right? It's not like it's uploading all the code; it's just working locally, and that's the novelty of it compared to maybe some of the other tools. And so, but yeah, it is kind of scary. It's a wild west. I think
It really
MCP,
is. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I was
I think,
reading an
and
article recently from I think John Billion posted it somewhere, and it was about like uh essentially with even with MCP, it seems like we're starting over in a lot of ways with like
rest.
security, like
Yeah,
making sure that it's all still, scoped and user permissions and sanitization and escaping and everything. Like there's no
yeah,
assumption that any of that has been dealt with in any of these things. So it's like giving that AI agent too much access could be a really scary thing because it's unpredictable sometimes, right? Um,
yeah,
but
for sure.
yeah, super interesting. Yeah, very, very cool.
Well, yeah, I'll follow, see if you guys do anything on this. I mean, I think the fact that WordPress formed that AI team, and so I forget what the company that they bought that now they're integrating,
Yeah,
kind of probably obviously for WordPress.com, not WordPress.org,
yeah,
but their tools. I've been playing with them, and obviously now they have their own automatic hosted MCP as well as a chatbot, which is not working yet. But I feel like there's a lot of promise there and things of just being able to have like less technically minded support staff be like, hey, I need a field that does this.
right. Yeah,
And
Yep.
there's relatively little security risk and a lot of things like that. So,
yeah,
anyways,
yeah. Especially when ACF is involved, because and if you're doing
yeah.
it through ACF APIs, then we can make sure that the person has permission to create fields, right? With that agent.
Are there APIs? So that is an interesting thing too, because in order when I was playing around with this, I had to expose the ACF post types in the REST
The REST
API
API.
because they're
Yeah.
not. Is there REST API ways to create fields or post types at the moment that I don't know about?
Not yet, unfortunately, but definitely something I think would be willing to consider. Um, which kind of leads me to my next point. I think all of this is a really great candidate for something to go on our feedback board. Ian Polson, our product manager, isn't here today, unfortunately. He had a clash. But I think a lot of this stuff would be really interesting. So if you could post that there,
Okay.
both the MCP and potentially um, being able to create post types, taxonomies, fields, etc., through um, an API, I think be great to get some visibility on that. And then that way other folks can vote on it as well and, you know, kind of refine the discussion a bit.
You
And
could even
we do
connect.
watch that feedback board like a lot. So it's a high
Yeah.
value spot to put things for sure.
Cool. And I do think that connecting it to the previous discussion, I didn't hear all of it, but in terms of blocks and stuff like that, the idea of within the block editor to be able to affect schema might be useful. Like, oh, I need to add another field here, and the REST API obviously is critical to that. So, anyways, I'll balance my time. I've taken up too much time. Thank you so much.
No, it's great. Yeah. Thank you for your question. It's great.
Chris mentioned, I haven't used it yet, but I found it funny that the ability to add custom icons to an icon picker was noted in a single line in 6.4.1's release notes. Yeah, now that you mention it, that might be a little funny. I know we wrote documentation for that.
Yeah, that did just kind of sneak in there, but it was
Yeah,
there.
we probably should have linked that in the release notes. So apologies for that. I'll see if I can pull that up and add a link to the chat. Oh, cool. Yeah, you found it. But yeah, have you played around with that custom icon functionality? Feel free to unmute if you want.
Yeah, not yet, not yet. It's one that I remember when the icon picker field came out, that I think it was Liam or someone else had mentioned that the ability to do custom icons was sort of there, but it was not really there. Like there was like no documentation around it or whatnot. And it was one where I looked in and tested it out at that time. I was like, I could not get it to like do what I was trying to do. Obviously, dash icons and stuff worked, and so it was something I was like keeping on the back burner of like, the moment I can do that, I'm like, oh, that'd be interesting and cool to be able to utilize in various ways for different blocks that I build. And then it just like snuck in the release, and I was like, oh, okay, well, it's out there now.
Yeah, I guess we didn't realize it would be such a useful feature. I mean, we knew it would be useful. That's why we did it. We just didn't think about doing a big announcement for it, I guess.
I mean, like, it's not, I don't think it needs, like, obviously HPOS and all those other things that you're doing are, I would say, maybe a little bit more like involved and or
Flashy,
like more like flashy. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, but it is one where it's like all the updates and like enhancements that you all put into the thing, I think are still deserving of like letting people know that these things exist, because it's one where obviously you're putting out blog articles, you're putting out guides, you're putting out all these things that really shows the enhancements and kind of focuses on that. So it's even something like this, it's like again, I only know because I I was following along. I was like, hold on, and so I went to the documentation myself. I was like, it's like add the tab through this way, then you can add the icons this way. I go, oh, okay. So it's just kind of funny because it's one of those where it's like under the radar, and I was going to send it to some other people that I know that were also like looking forward to it, just because I'm like, hey, by the way, it's out in case you weren't aware.
Yeah. That was all Matt. Matt did all that. So
That
Nice.
feels like forever ago.
Yeah.
Where the time is going. But yeah, I mean, that was fun to work on. Creating like almost a sort of like API for that stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, maybe we should do a better job of shouting about some of those smaller things, even if it's just like a tweet here and there or something like that.
Yeah, because it's great to again be able to know like there's new things that are being added even to the stuff that exists. Even
Right.
to like if there's field stuff like, oh, now you can do this with this field. Now this has the ability to be modified in X, Y, and Z ways. Like I know like when you all added I think it was the pagination for like the relationship field stuff. Things like that, which definitely enhances and can be very helpful, especially when you're dealing with a lot of data, you're dealing with a lot of things like that, that it's maybe it's not like everyone's cup of tea. It's not going to help everybody, but obviously there's a reason you're doing it in the first place.
Yep. Yeah, we actually have some improvements coming to the color picker field like that in I hope the next release. We're going to be adding the ability to put a custom color palette or pull from theme JSON.
Ooh, okay.
So
because that's something I know that I've run into building ACF blocks, is that I know I can use the default like color options like background and text and such, but sometimes there's things I want to do a little bit more than that, and having to iterate through in a different way to like create a select field or create something like a
Right.
radio button field and forcibly make it look similar and respond similarly is a little bit harder.
Yeah. Hopefully this will help with some of those types of edge case things where you need custom colors or so
Awesome.
and there is that filter that Jesse just put in there too. If you want to do that that way, you can add custom colors to the and the rest of it just came in too. Nice.
Formatting in Zoom chat is
Yes.
abysmal.
Yeah, I hope your eyes are able to adjust to all that.
Yeah, that's good.
But yeah, there are filters. Glenn mentioned, is there any chance we get the ACF blocks creation UI this year? That's a tough one. ETAs or yeah, it's tough to give out, ETAs on.
Deadlines and things. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'd love to. Yeah, it
yeah.
would be, yeah. It is in progress. We are working on it.
Yeah.
But we hard to say a date for sure on it.
Yep. See if we missed anything.
Good chat today.
Yeah, really good chat. Lots of great ideas being tossed around.
Yeah.
Anyone have anything else? No, we can end it maybe a little bit early.
Oh, Glenn has one more. Here's a forum post I made about the inspector tabs question. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, put it in the feedback board too. It's a good spot when we have these kinds of things like feature requests and things, because then it helps us prioritize them and kind of see how many people are asking for that feature, and where to put it in our priority list for the backlog. But the forum's good too. We also obviously monitor those. I think Liam was responding there. So yeah.
On a similar note to what Glinton is saying, I know obviously if we're adding custom meta fields to like a post editor or things like that, if you're doing it through React, you can hook into the different slots that are available versus obviously using the meta fields. You're kind of relegated to either the bottom or if you set it to the side, like in a separate thing. I'm assuming there's not really any kind of plans, at least right now, to be able to allow for putting into the available slots that that the editor has.
Like the slots that Gutenberg has coded into the sidebar.
Yes.
And you're saying that you want to be able to like assign a field group to one of those slots?
It's like that's just something that popped in my head because I know
That's a
that
cool
like
idea. Yeah.
that I know a couple plugins that I've dealt with. Like there's one about freezing the modified date so it doesn't change, and they put just a checkbox or picker in the top like publishing
Right.
section, basically.
Right. Yeah. So basically you're saying like in the what do we call that, where you like tell the field group where it lives? I'm drawing a blank.
Yeah, I don't know what it's called, but yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, but that would be a place where
Location,
yeah, location rules. You'd have like all the slots listed there is what you're thinking.
Potentially, yeah.
And that's a really interesting idea.
Yeah, I think we'd have to add like a location rule that's like Gutenberg section or something similar, right?
Yeah.
And then you'd have the operator as you always do, like equal to, and then you'd be able to pick from a drop down that's pre-populated with all those sections.
Would we have to do it like post type then slot? Like if you only wanted it for like a car's
Maybe.
post type, and
Yeah.
then you have the slot, we'd have to.
Would it be something where, because again, I guess you could chain them if that's the case, because maybe you want it in every post type that you have, but then maybe or like you're saying, if you only want it on the single post editor,
Right.
or instead of a page editor, you could chain those together and say, if post type is page, and the Gutenberg slot is like publish section or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's a similar fundamental problem to what Glenton was asking for, in that we have to do some pretty substantial work under the hood for ACF fields to be inserted into most,
Yeah.
if not all of those sections, because WordPress really has kind of delegated where custom fields, traditional custom fields can be added, like they put you in the legacy meta box or legacy sidebar section, and that's where they want it to end up. And if you want to add something somewhere else, it's pretty much got to be React these days. So a lot of work there to modernize, I think.
Yeah, because I'm assuming in that case, if you wanted to do it, you would have to basically change the output of like what the custom fields are doing to be basically using like the React versions of those things to output components in those spots.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's something we're working on, and that we have done some proof of concepts for internally, and it's definitely on our roadmap. But yeah, I mean, there's just so many field types, and also some of those field types are just incredibly complex, even without being in React. So then once you add in React into the mix, it gets even more difficult. Things like
Yeah.
the flexible content and potentially the repeater as well. But yeah, definitely
I
something
know
we're
that, yeah,
interested
I
in.
know, because I remember that being mentioned a long while back about trying to at least kind of modify the custom fields or the sections in a way that it's more akin, like at least visually, matching as much as possible to the native editor experience as possible. So
Yeah.
yeah, I that's why I was asking, because I'm like, I don't know that's necessarily on any roadmap at all, but just jumping off of what Glinton
No,
was
and
saying.
I think that's the right way to do what we were talking about before with the tabs, like in block sidebar, would be to give us a way to target slots because they're already there. So being able to just inject anything into those slots would be really, it's like that would be the right way to go. I think, based on just my initial thoughts. It's a great idea. So yeah, I'll definitely be thinking about that.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, that's I think that's the only thing I have today. I know that like it's been, I think Matt and all you, I got the video I had sent over like 2 months ago, I think, talking about um, the class names for ACF blocks in the editor, I think.
Oh yes, right, the wrapper.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. And I did take a look at that. You're totally right. And I have been also playing with some proof of concept work to figure out how we can bypass that wrapper. So that is something that I've been working on. So yeah, thank you for that.
No problem. Yeah, I wanted to make sure it got over to you all, and I
Yeah,
missed.
and I responded to you. I think I responded to your ticket, and I don't often go into the ticket system. So I was hoping you got my reply, but yeah, thanks for sending that in.
No worries.
Yeah.
I know I missed last month's chat, so I didn't get to follow up on that.
Cool. Yeah. Oh, another thought I just had is on the blocks creation UI thing. I know that our UX researcher is trying to get some conversations going with people about like what you would want from that and what the best way to go is. I do not have her contact available right now, but I think if you want to be a part of that, you could probably open a ticket in our support and say, hey, I'd like to be part of the UX research for the blocks UI creation, because I know we are looking to have people to talk with and get feedback on that for. So if you want to help shape that feature, yeah, feel free to reach out to our support, and I'll make sure we connect you with her.
Awesome. That sounds great. Yeah. I mean, like I build so many of them all the time that anything I can do to like help in any way, even providing feedback or just.
Yeah, especially if you are making a lot of them, like that's the kind of feedback we need. It's like, what do you actually need from this process? What do you not need, or what can come later? That kind of thing. Yeah, it would really help us. So yeah, if you're available to chat with her, that'd be awesome.
Awesome. Sounds great. I'll reach out through the feedback.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Glenton. Yeah. Anyone who has a desire to help us shape that, please reach out. It's good to get as much feedback as we can. Cool. Anybody got any other questions? Things they want to chat about? Cool.
I think we're just about at time anyway.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Yeah. Have a great weekend, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us, and we'll see you at the next Chat Fridays.
Thanks, guys. See you.
Okay. Ciao.